have you here. And today we're talking about an ancillary program here at SCA, which is our fantastic counseling department with Dr. Ferguson. And I just wanted to share a little bit of the history of how we made the decision to bring that piece to our school. Initially, when the school was founded, the thinking was that we would always partner with families, pastors. If there was a crisis in the home, that we would call the church and work with the local pastor and partner things up. And that worked really well for a few years. But as the school started to grow, then it became obviously more kids, more issues. We live life here on earth. It is a fallen place, and things happen with families, right? And hard things happen with kids. And so we still make those calls and we still work with pastors, but we found that not all pastors are interested in doing that, which was kind of a surprise. Some are absolutely fantastic. Others, the connection never really happened. We always invite them to come up, have lunch with the students, whatever you want to do, and with the family's permission, say, here's details of what's going on, if you want to call them in. And sometimes it worked, but sometimes it didn't. So what was happening was, more and more out of the principal's office, we were spending time working with hurting kids, hurting families, which this is our heart. We love to do this, but there's X amount of hours in the day. And so how do we make this work? Because we want that educational process in the classroom to move forward. And if something horrible is going on in your life and you're here at school and shutting down, then the education piece isn't happening and the heart's hurting. So we wanted to get to the heart. Well, in God's perfect timing, and I'm going to let Chantele share, seriously, the miracle of this. He brought Dr. Ferguson to us, and she and I just hammered together, researching multiple schools to come up with what is a Christian school counselor supposed to do? What does that look like? How does that differ from a public school counselor? And then you also know that we have a college and career office, advising office, and sometimes people will say that's the counseling office next door, but Mrs. Eames and Mrs. Schmidt work solely with college applications and scholarships and choosing schools and really the college and career end of things. What Dr. Ferguson does for us is literally preschool through 12th grade support for emotional and social needs. And she has just been a perfect, wonderful fit. So join me in welcoming her to speak to you about our program.
I'm excited to be here. This is a dream come true for me to be in this position, to be working in my field, because in becoming a believer, I didn't see the need for psychology. I was already immersed in my counseling program, and I was like, well, why do we even need psychology? We have the Word. We have understanding of who God is. But the more and more I grew as a believer, I see that they are not dichotomous thoughts, psychology and helping people to understand God's Word. In fact, they go hand in hand. We know in Romans chapter 11, verses 34 through 36, he says, all things were made to him, and for his glory. What we understand about psychology is part of that. We understand how people relate to one another, how stress impacts the body, how kindness elicits a cortisol reaction and it feels good. That's how we encourage people to be kind. But that was not even our idea. When Jesus was queried about the most important thing, and the Pharisees were trying to trip him up, he said the most important thing is love of God and all that he is, with all that we have, and then love of our neighbor as ourselves. So all that to say, I want to step back to what Mrs. Gill was talking about, God's perfect timing. So we have 5 kids, as many of you know, and working here helps us to be here. And I was looking at Sarah Coates, and some of your faces are very familiar because I got to tour you, and so I know those are my families. And I loved touring because it helped me to know families, it helped me to know kids, and to have a point of connection. And then as Mrs. Gill shared, there came a point of, we need something extra. We need someone who can speak to kids about their feelings and make sense of, why am I feeling this way? I know God and I'm still stressed. Or this is a big deal and I don't know what to do with my feelings and I can't focus in class. And it was taken away from what she needed to do as principal and academic dean. And she was like, well, Chantele, she has a counseling degree. I had my master's at the time. And I said, she didn't approach me yet. Behind the scenes was my home department, University of Missouri in Columbia. And I've been since defending my dissertation 12 years. And they're like, sister girl, if you do not finish, we will close the books on you. And we're so willing to partner with you that we will allow you to write your own internship and get it done. It just has to meet these standards, APA standards. We will partner with you. Go do your thing. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. And what the Lord knew, he was already at work. And Mrs. Gill had me on her mind because the Lord put me there. And she asked me, would you be willing to do a little bit of time over here, staying with development, but partnering with us with these kids? And I was like, how many hours? And she said 10. I said, give me 20. You got a deal. And so, as she said, we did a lot of research and a lot of praying, and it's been a deliberate relationship. And eventually, it became clear that it was going to be necessary for me to come on full time on this side, and I love it. So, because I get to do just this, reach the heart of students with God's word. And we talk a lot about discipling and partnering with students. Your guys' kids have a lot of word hidden in their heart. They can pull that they know what the word says. But when they're hurting, it's not the default all the time. And for us as adults, we know that's not our default either. But with practice, with reminders, with people who will say specifically, now what does God think about that? Then they're encouraged, wait a minute, he's with me. I don't have to fear. I do have a choice if I stop and I think. But that's a lot of processing, right? And it doesn't happen in one fell swoop. So we are we take intentional opportunities to speak into the hearts of our kids. Now, we have wonderful teachers here who claim the name of Christ, and I watch these people engage my kids and your kids, and they're patient and they're kind. But if they take all the time that they need to, sometimes it's going to take away from what needs to be happening in the classroom, and that's when I come in. And so kids get to come and visit with me. So what does counseling look like at SCA? First, our intention is to help equip students with the skills they need to navigate presenting concerns in light of the truth of God's word. That's hopefully pretty self-explanatory. It's always hinging. I listen. I love to try to connect. I give eye contact. Some kids struggle with giving good eye contact, and I understand that, and so I talk about it. Because when they're looking at me, I know that they're listening. And if I'm looking at them, they know that I'm listening. So we're developing rapport. So I'm listening to hear what's going on. What does that feel like? What does God think about that? And how do you know that? Have you prayed? What do your parents say? I always bring you guys into it too, because you are the authority on your children. You've been entrusted to guard them and to teach them and to mold them. You let us come in beside you. The focus on exploring underlying issues in order to understand behavior. We are driven. We do things because we need things. But sometimes we don't know the best way to get what we need. So part of what I'm realizing, not only through experience, but through research and practice, is that when we understand what we're feeling and we know how to express it in ways that are healthy, then we can use our words to ask specifically for what we need in a kind way, in a God-honoring way. So just because I'm angry doesn't mean I get to spew it on you. Anger is just a feeling. How many of you feel anger? It's a feeling. But what we do with our anger sometimes can get us into trouble. So we talk about those things and being able to access what we need in ways that are healthy. We partner with parents to ensure that students receive the support needed to grow and to experience forward momentum in their God-given potential. So we don't claim to have all the answers here. We don't have that kind of time. We want to do triage work. Let's get them stable. Let's get them in a place where they feel like I can participate in class and focus and have a good relationship with my friend today right now. Because when I get home, you talk to my mom, what are we going to do? Sometimes that means partnering with people in the community. Sometimes that means partnering with other people on campus. It just depends on the case presented to us. And then we use advocacy and collaboration to promote student academic success. All right, our focus is academic growth. But because we're a Christian school, we get to come along and do that other important piece. And that's to grow their hearts to know Christ. And we don't Again, we don't presume to be the sole answer. We partner with you. There's expertise in resource services. There's expertise in the guidance office. There's expertise in Mrs. Gill's office and Mr. Hessman's office. We will draw from our own resources, and then we'll move out into the community to see how we can best meet the needs of the students. But counseling in my position has not only included one-on-one interactions. These are some of the things that I've done since I came on board as a counselor. So exploring kindness with K through 6th grade students. Now that was really the impetus for our SOAR program. Again, helping kids to understand that when we have feelings, everybody has feelings, and there are healthy and good ways to express our feelings in order to negotiate our needs. And then if you have feelings, guess what? She has feelings, and she has feelings, and she has feelings, and it leads to empathy. So I'm not only concerned about myself, I need to be concerned about my neighbor, because remember, the most important thing is love. Love of God, and the love of my neighbor as myself. What do I need? Well, if I fall down and drop my books, and all my friends are just standing there, well, what does that say about how they feel about me? I want them to help me. So you teach, if that's what you would need, well, you do that for them, even if they don't ask, because you know that feels good to you. That's love. And so with the SOAR program, and you guys know, hopefully you've heard that lots and lots this year, serving others, always respect, and that is built right out of 1 Corinthians 13 and Matthew 22, when Jesus talks about the most important thing being love. Small group leader training. Mr. Hessman and I have been able to do that a lot on the secondary, as each chapel has focused on the different aspects of love. Again, from chapter 13 of 1 Corinthians, love is patient. If that is true, what does that look like in the hallways of SCA? If that is true, how are you showing that in the cafeteria? How can we improve? What we want to do by highlighting specific students and as small group leaders is to be intentional to change, to positively affect the community here. We want the kids to see it, to feel it, and to live it. They're the responsible parties. We can have all the lofty ideas up here that we want, but if they're not moving and acting and making choices intentionally, it won't change. Feel free to interrupt me at any time if you feel like, well, what do you mean by that? I'm just going to keep going, and I'll leave for questions at the end, but I will entertain as I go. 16 personalities inventory. Yes.
I just have a comment on the small group leader.
Okay.
I am so thankful for you and this opportunity. My son, who is in 7th grade, never talks. He prides himself on being quiet. And they asked him to be a small group leader for his grade level. I was like, really? He was like, okay. He is so excited about this and is hoping he gets to do it next year because he thinks he could do a better job next year now that he knows what to expect. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Intentionally, those small groups are built to help build community. We want kids not to be just passing each other in the hallway. Do you see me? Do you see when I'm down? My face is gonna look different when I'm not feeling good, and you better interrupt me because you care. We make them accountable so we can challenge each other, and they can challenge each other as peers. In doing that, then we're rocking, and we are soaring. We're doing our jobs, right? So thank you for sharing that. The 16 personalities inventory, that's really my background, career development, and look how the Lord has spread that out for me. But what it does, it helps kids to assess themselves. This is who I am based on how God made me. I have these kinds of likes and dislikes. I know I can perform well in a quiet environment. I need people. I'm charged by because I'm an extrovert. But I'm recharged when I can withdraw and have quiet time. They're looking at those aspects of their personalities in order to best chart where they're going to go for college, what they're going to major in, and hopefully land in the best career choice for them. And why is that important? Why is that important? We need to know what God has called us to. So it's not just about, I like this or I feel good in this kind of environment. He's given me some talents. He's deposited in me a responsibility to bear fruit. I need to know optimally what that is going to be, right? I share with the kids, again, from Matthew 25 about the man who leaves his slaves behind with 5 talents and 2 talents and 1 talent. You guys know the story that the one who had 5 talents, he invested. He worked because he knew he needed to make a return. The one with 2 talents, he also invested and made a return. And the guy with the 1 talent, what did he do? He buried it. And what did the man say? The master said, you fool, you worthless slave. You knew what I was going to ask of you. You did that? Give me what you got. And I'll give it to the one who is responsible. That's us. Are we responsible with the talents that God has given us? Look at that, how we're shaping them to not look at themselves. It's not about me, myself, and I when I grow up. I want to be comfortable. I want the best job. I want a house on a hill. No, not that those things are wrong to have, but it's not about you. It's about bringing glory to God and making Him known and loving Him by loving each other. So I love this. And you're like this. Okay, what do I know about myself? Because I know I'm a doctor. Well, what does it take to be a doctor? So we get into all those kinds of things, and they love it. Kids love it. And then the college boot camp. This was our first time doing this last year. We worked with juniors, and it was a day, actually half a day in the morning, where they were able to engage with people on campus about scholarship information, how to access different kinds of scholarships, how to hunt online. So they had about 30 minutes to do that. Then they met with Mrs. Eames, who talked about college applications, how to present yourself well, and how to identify a college that's going to be best suited for you. And then they had time with me. And we talked about, what do you do when you have all that kind of freedom if you're going away for college? Because some people will lose their mind. And they forget whose they are. And so the challenge was, well, how is that possible? I've grown up in a Christian home. I go to church. I'm well invested in my youth group. And yet statistics tell us that when kids go away to college, it's like they've lost their mind. People who have vowed purity and abstained from sexual relations will go to college and do just the opposite. They take drugs when they know it's frying their brains. They indulge in alcohol, and they are risky in their behaviors. And not just kids who don't know the world. We're talking about Christian kids. The statistics are staggering, and they look at me like, that's not going to be me. That's not going to be me. And so even in talking to some of our graduates, they shared with me about, this is what I'm doing, and you're right, it is hard, but there's accountability. There's accountability here at this school, that they still have connections with their teachers here. There's accountability in the home because their parents are intentional, and they get plugged in at their schools. They find a small community of believers to be with. Now, it's not going to be perfect, so brace yourselves. It's going to be a bubble burst. But we have Christ. And so if we know and we walk with Him, we know that there's grace. He is patient, He is kind, and He's always growing us. He stands at the ready to receive us. So I love to encourage juniors and people preparing to leave SCA with that truth. The most important thing, time in God's Word. We know that the Bible is perfect to instruct, to guide, to provide wisdom. And we cannot know who God is apart from being in His Word. No matter what our experiences tell us, it is corroborated, it is made firm as we read His Word. And I love being able to say, let's open up the Word. And most times, honestly, I don't have my Bible, I have my iPhone. And they love it. So let's look on my iPhone. What's your favorite verse? Let me tell you what mine is. And so, do you spend time praying? Do you have time in the Word with your parents? Sometimes it's yes. Sometimes it's no. So I charge them. I say, you know what? You know the Word is good, right? And we believe it's true. Ask your mom and dad to spend some time with you in the Word. And they do. I get to be responsible. I get to tell them what to do. I get to remind them. Kids love it. We know that there's strength and truth in God's Word. So, how does counseling process? How do I get to see your kids? What happens? There are a couple ways. Mostly through referrals. And we have 2 different types of referrals. Non-urgent and urgent referrals. A non-urgent referral might be a teacher kind of observing a student's struggle with relationships in class, or paying attention where they had not had these struggles previously. So the teacher or an administrator will engage a parent, wondering, this is what we've noticed with your child. It may be helpful for them to spend some time with Mrs. Ferguson, and she can tell you what that's going to look like. And usually it's 3 to 4 sessions, 30 minutes. I try to keep it at 30 minutes. I'm working on it.
More like 45. We get it.
Yes. And they can strategize, partner, and come up with a plan and move forward. So parents agree to partner with the counselor, contact the counseling office, either the teacher will or you can, and then I will make contact with you or the student, and we can set up a good time when I can pull them from class. For high schoolers, if they have a life prep, perfect. Sometimes they come to school early because they don't have a first period, perfect. Sometimes they're willing to stay late after school, perfect. Other times I'll strategize with the teacher. You guys have a test today. Would it be possible if I had your student for 15 to 20 minutes, usually 30? And their teachers are willing to flex and flow, and they make accommodations. At the elementary level, we usually pull out during Bible time. Sometimes that's not possible, so I will use a special time. I try not to use time where there's critical learning and teaching. Not that our specials aren't, but there's a little bit more flex and flow there. Sometimes parents decline. They decide not to partner, and that's fine. When that is the case, the teacher and I will still get together and talk about things that they can do in the classroom to support the students. And then the teacher, the counselor, and the administrators we will all collaborate. If the time comes that we need to draw a parent in to say, you know, this is not helping us, can you tell us, what are you seeing at home? What are you using at home? What can we do here? And that kind of is built in along the way. Hopefully you guys have already noticed that we don't do independent work with your children, that you have lots of contact from the teachers and from our administrators about what's happening. So does this make sense? Non-urgent when the counselor is partnered with and when the counselor is not partnered with. There's still contributions, but the teacher and the administrators become the primary source of help. Previously to my coming on, we had the program called Sparkle. And it is run through Resource Services Program, and it's specifically designed for kids, early education through 6th grade, who have challenges that are not necessarily met immediately with behavior modification in the classroom. So this is a little bit more one-on-one and intentional time outside of the classroom to address some of those challenges. And that's hard to read, I apologize. Students who demonstrate a need for moderate behavioral social interventions that cannot be addressed through normal classroom modifications will be perfect candidates for Sparkle. And by the way, Sparkle is an acronym for special attention and respect, for respect, kindness, and loving everyone. And you hear built in that, it's just, how do I get along with my peers? How do I pay attention to social cues? What do I do when? How do I handle my feelings if? And that can be handled through one-on-one with the counselor, and sometimes I've done it with small groups of kids who kind of are having issues in the classroom. So when we're trying to decide who's alpha dog or alpha princess, you know, sometimes it can be challenging. You guys remember being in elementary school at those critical ages, and if there's no one there to help you facilitate your feelings, you're like, you can get left on the side, feelings get crushed, and you know, you get rolled over, and it's like we have time to stop and attend to that. And when it's brought to our attention, or when we see students, we speak to it. There's a focus on interpersonal skill attainments, clarification of social expectations, and exploration in how to better identify, express, and negotiate your needs in positive ways. And that's just a fancy way of saying, I can use my words in a kind way to ask for what I need. The counselor may partner with the administrator and the family to address non-school issues which may be instigating in-school behavior. So what does that mean? What if there's a divorce? Our kids may look fine, but they carry stuff. And they can't come to school sometimes and, you know, pay attention and sit still and be kind when somebody's talking. You want them to be quiet. I'm trying to focus, and it's like, shut up. No, what's happening at home? Or maybe a loved one dies. Or maybe there's a move. Anything can happen. You know, we're sensitive people. If we're used to routine and our security is found in our families being intact and things being predictable, when a wrench is thrown into that, I mean, that wreaks havoc for us as adults. So just imagine little people are still trying to understand their bodies and who are growing and their feet are getting big and they're always hungry and they're tired and I want to cry and I want to lay down and all those things to navigate. So the counselor supports the student, the parents, and the teachers by providing testing referrals or support services in the community. So again, most of what I do will look like triage. On the good end, I will meet with students 3 to 4 times in about 30 to 40 minute increments. If we find that more is needed, even with Sparkle in place, then we're going to be partnering with someone in the community. And God is awesome because we've already identified several therapists who know him and who are intentional and who are unafraid to use his name in counseling. So that's super duper. Now, referral may also happen through urgent need. So this means we have a kid who is in crisis, visibly upset, not able to focus, crying, and the teacher sees she has the right, hopefully, and she will send, or he will, send the student to the nurse. The nurse will contact me. I will immediately meet with the student and then follow up with a call to the parent. And usually what has happened in the past, as I'm meeting with the students, one of the administrators will be calling the parent to let them know, hey, just wanted you to know we're having a rough day. They're in talking with Mrs. Ferguson. She's going to follow up with you about things to do. We can have a follow-up meeting if you're open. And parents are willing to hear about what's happening with their babies. So, questions here. Sometimes parents already know my kid needs support. In fact, we're already partnering with people in the community. But he may be in school and decide, this isn't a good day. Can we put him on Mrs. Ferguson's periphery? Can we let her know that he may be a student in need? That happens. And so it's just a matter of letting me know, letting the teacher know, and then as needed, I'll be available to the student. Sometimes I reach out beforehand, before there's an issue, so I can say, hey, this is who I am, this is what we can do, just to let you know I'm a resource here. So just anytime you feel like talking or you need to exhale, they get that, because we talk a lot about breathing and the importance of relaxing yourself. Then they'll, come and see me and we can chat, or play Uno, which is one of my favorites. I'll talk about that. So we've talked about what counseling looks like here, how to access counseling here. How is that different from what you might find in another setting? Well, I think it's different in 3 different ways, 3 particular ways. One, when it comes to confidentiality and its limitations, the role of the Word, the Bible, and then how we partner with parents. So confidentiality, when students come to me, I want them to feel safe and secure and know that their business is not going to be broadcast. Guess who I saw today? And guess what they were saying? That's not going to happen. So they need to know, and that they're not strange for feeling what they're feeling. So they know you can feel safe to share with me. I'm not going to share what you share with me unless you tell me you have plans to hurt yourself, that someone is hurting you, or that you have plans to hurt somebody else. I said, now you can know I'm going to shoot an email to your parents, just so them know that we met, and generally what we talked about. But you get to tell them what it is that we went into depth about, okay? And sometimes they take pause, but they always agree. Knowing all of that, they will agree. Now, in other settings, confidentiality looks like that, except that parents don't have to know. In public schools, students can go and see a counselor, and there won't be a report made to the parent. We're different because we partner. The role of the Word. In my training, all throughout my training, my master's program, my doctoral program, you have to deny who you are. You're kind of like a blank slate, so that the student or the person that you're working with is able to kind of share who they are, and you not form who they are by impacting them with what you know, what your experiences are. Well, that doesn't fly here. I'm directly going to say, and who is Christ? And what do you do with the Word? I'll let them talk, and I want to hear where their hearts are, and I don't hammer them, because kids are in different places in the walk with the Lord, and some of them don't know they believe, which initially I was like, but it's real. It's natural. So then it's a privilege for me to step alongside. Well, let's look at this together. And there's an invitation to consider, because he says to them, he says to each of us every time, come unto me. You know, he doesn't say, if you don't come, you're going to hell. He says, come unto me. Because it's love. His love draws us to repentance. So I get to share that with kids, and they're like, I give them something to think about. You have a choice. There is a choice. You don't have to say yes, but I tell you, why wouldn't you? Let's look at him. Who does he say that he is? So you'll find that that's different. You won't get that in typical counseling. And even in some Christian counseling outside of here, you won't always get that kind of direct, intentional use of the word. And then the way that we partner with parents. I love this piece because I think I'm always guided with what I want. I have 5. And I'm super mom? No. I can't always know what's going on with them, but I trust the people whose classes that they're in, that they're going to see my children and tell me when something's going on. And I want you guys to trust me that way too. That when I see your kids, hey, this is concerning to me. And I'm going to tell them, you know, your parents are your first line of defense on purpose. God gave you the ones that you have. You have been entrusted to them. You need them. And they have wisdom about you that I don't have. So we need their input. So, you know, let's give them a call. Now, what if the issue is a major struggle with the parent? But we're going to assess if the student is safe, and then we'll partner with the administration about next steps. But you can know that the child is first. Their safety is first, and then parents are right there. So hopefully that demystifies for you what counseling looks like here at SCA and how it compares to counseling in other environments. Questions? Yes.
This is more specifically for what's going on we've had some things hit the school this year that unusually higher things, I think. And obviously that's because we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. So we're going to get attacked by the enemy. But it has specifically hit my home and yours as well, on a couple of different levels. My question is curiosity. How are the kids reacting to the group setting? I think is what you put in place for one of the most recent things where we had a parent that was lost.
Yes.
And then obviously as we're moving into the high school, we've got some things that's happening. How are the reactions of the kids? Are they opening up? What are we, how can we help when they come home? Because I know I've had conversations with Julian about it. So kind of give me your thoughts on that.
So what Kelly's talking about, for those of you who don't know, is that we had a 5th grade mother, the mother of 5th grader died recently. And so of course we're feeling the impact of that. What you will find is that kids are resilient, but they don't always know what to do, again, with their feelings. What does that mean? And often it will touch on their own sadness, their own experience of loss, and sometimes put them right back and make it real present. And that hurt is fresh for them. Well, you legitimize the feeling. Does it hurt when you lose somebody? Yes, it does. It's a normal feeling, and death is a normal process to life. But for the believer, and I like that we can hinge it there, but for the believer, we have hope to see our loved ones again. Now, that doesn't make me feel good in the present. What can I do about this right here? Well, what makes pain feel better for you? When I'm sad, you know what? Honestly, sleep helps for a little while. Then fresh air helps, and sun helps. And then I have to make sure, wait a minute, am I exercising? Am I drinking water? Am I eating healthy? Then have I been in my word? The word, what does the word of God say? Jesus says, I go before you to prepare a place where we're not, so I wouldn't tell you. So there's hope. For the believer, if not present in the body, then present with the Lord. And so helping them, walking with them, talking about the pink elephant, not being real blunt, but not being too gentle either. Sure. That they see that this is real, and how are you handling it? You're modeling for them. We're all going to experience loss at some point. And sometimes we carry that pain for a long time. Some of you have already heard of the stages of grief. And the acronym is DABDA: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. And sometimes you move very linearly through those stages, and sometimes you don't. And anything can catapult you back to anger when you've already accepted the fact that your loved one is dead. What do you do? What do you do? I pray. I call on the name of Jesus. And you know what I tell kids? You know what do you do with God? He's right here with us. So you think he was there with your loved one? He says, I will never leave you or forsake you. So in that moment, guess where he was? right there. That's the comfort we have for believers. Now, the story is different for those who don't know Christ, but I won't even go there. That just means we have work to do, right? To share the truth and help them to see the invitation to come to Christ. Okay, so then we have Noah. And that's wearing on people differently too. He's young. It doesn't seem fair. What do we do with that? Think the same. We trust God and we pray and we ask Him because we know that He is the God of impossibilities. Is He the God of it? How do we know that? The Word, our own experiences, and we walk with our teenagers and let's have that conversation. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for you? Do you know Him? Because if no one knows Him, he has every confidence that He's going to be with them immediately when it's His time. And we think we know. Do you know when your time is? Do you know? I don't know either. The time is now to choose. That's what brings to life for me. So it's like, are we trusting God? Tomorrow's not promised to anyone. So that's what I said, yes.
And just share like the reality of their immediate knowledge with social media and how the school handled that when kids here found out that it was terminal.
Right on the dime, we collected the seniors, and we had a time of prayer, and we had a time that they could share. And I wish that you guys could have heard those kids call on the name of the Lord. That in itself broke, because you know, when you have nothing, and they fight, there's no place to turn. They ask Christ, and not everybody is there. But for those who hurt the hearts of their classmates, they have to be encouraged. So we continue to pray. That's another blessing that we have in being in a Christian school. We can act like this. They were ready to pray. Those kids are ready to call on the Lord together. They understand the power of prayer. That's awesome. Thank you for reminding me of that. Other questions?
I just wanted to make everybody aware, I'm Dr. Prow. I've got a very large network that's available to students and available to parents as well, called Signature Behavioral Healthcare. We're a good resource for the community. If a kid needs above and beyond what we're able to give them, and this is awesome. I'm so glad you're here, but a lot of times kids need a little bit more, but not quite the hospital.
Right.
And our goal at Signature has always been to keep kids out of the hospital. So we have 3 programs, one in Blue Springs, one in North Kansas City, and one in Overland Park, that are 3 nights a week after school. They do group therapy, they see a therapist, and they see a board-certified psychiatrist like myself once a week. And so if medications are appropriate with the family, we make that decision. And if they're not, then they do the therapy anyway. And it's been really good for kids and then also adults. If the family needs more help, we integrate the family and get the adults in treatment. So that's available to kids. I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. We have a website online and can get in kids seen right away, usually within a day or 2. And so if they're in real crisis, but not quite to a safety point, obviously someone who's truly suicidal needs to be hospitalized. But if they're thinking about it, but not really planning one, usually we get the kids out of the hospital. And that's a reality. A lot of kids are very afraid to talk about suicide and talk about that, and they don't think anybody's ever felt that way. And so when they get into a group with 5 kids, 6 kids, and, oh, you felt that way? It's enormously therapeutic for them to hear about other kids going through the same thing that they are. And that's the whole design of what our programs are. And so be aware, call me directly.
Thank you, I will.
If you have any issues, we can get them in and get them seen. So.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes.
So are all the teachers trained in this as well, like knowing that they're supposed to refer at certain times? Because I've had a child call home sobbing several times and sent to the nurse sobbing, but other than Tim connecting with you,
Bit fairly new. We are teaching and intentionally instructing teachers about what they can do to help students. Part of it is knowing. So even if a kid is visibly upset, he still has to be able to say what's going on. That was just a slip through, because you know that our teachers are tender-hearted about that. And so that now that he's on the periphery, we know what to do. So, and yes, at the beginning of the school year, we went through these stages, these steps with all of the teachers so that they know how to engage a student and how to best support them. So we're getting to be a well-oiled machine. We're getting there. Well, would you like to say anything else? Thank you
I
guys
just
for
wrote
your
down a
attention.
couple of thoughts as she was talking. Sometimes in the Christian community, we get the idea that counseling is for the other people. And I have a pet phrase that I use with families that I stole from VeggieTales, which is everybody's got a water buffalo. Okay? There's one perfect guy, his name is Jesus. Behind the closed door of a principal's office, everybody has seasons where you're a hot mess. Okay? Every kid goes through seasons. And so I'm really hoping, we talked about this at our Magnificent Moms meeting, that SCA can be a place of transparency. The Lord built us to need one another. She is gifted in this area, and I am so blessed. We are so blessed to have somebody that has that gift. So we don't have to operate in areas where we're not gifted. As Christians, we all have Christ and the ministry of the Holy Spirit for comforting. This is her special gift. And never ever feel bad about choosing to access somebody that the Lord has gifted in the area of counseling. We're supposed to need one another.
I'm going to jump in real quick. From a secondary perspective, and especially from being in the public schools to coming here, one of the things that I have seen and absolutely love with the heart of Dr. Ferguson is in the public schools, for the most part, I don't know if most of you know this, but the counselors don't call parents. They actually get in trouble if they call parents. If a child goes to them and talks about certain issues or certain things, they get in trouble and can be fired for contacting parents. One of the things that we are so blessed with here is that Dr. Ferguson not only has a heart for the Lord, a heart for our kids to be able to walk them through, but a heart for partnering with parents and contacting you to say, we're in this together. How do we do this together? It's not a us versus them at all. And so seeing her heart and being at the secondary level, and she does a great job with the little ones all the way through our seniors, and the conversations that have been going on has been phenomenal. Like I said, it's also that partnership that I don't ever want us to lose sight of, because again, being on the other side and seeing that it wasn't there. And even when I would ask them to call, they would be like, nope, can't do it. And knowing that here it's just the opposite. It's how can we partner with you as parents? How can we bring Christ into the center of it? And how do we move forward from that? And Dr. Ferguson has done an amazing job doing that and being there for us. So again, it's a difference. And I want to make sure that we know that. And again, when we are able to accept and understand the blessings that SCA has and what God has put with us and how that works through this program is phenomenal.
All right, thank you for coming today. We appreciate it. And we're here if you have any questions afterwards.